Welcome to IQD Dinar News, your go-to source for the latest updates on currency exchange rates, revaluation news, and insights into the Iraqi dinar. Stay informed and ahead of the curve with our timely analysis and breaking developments. The term conveys a sense of urgency and expectation among the people, who are keenly aware of the economic challenges facing their country. For the Iraqi citizens, who have long faced economic instability and fluctuations in the value of their currency, any announcement of monetary changes is met with a mixture of hope, anxiety, and skepticism. When officials or representatives refer to changes happening in the coming days, it often sparks a wave of anticipation among the people. However, given the history of delays and unfulfilled promises, such phrases can also be met with a degree of wariness. The perception of time and the interpretation of official language can vary significantly based on the population's experiences with the government and previous economic policies. In this specific instance, when the phrase "in the coming days" is mentioned, it is seen as an indication that the monetary reform is imminent. For many, it translates to the notion of now because of the continuous stream of information that has been disseminated to the citizens. There is an implied urgency and immediacy that wasn't present in previous announcements. This sense of immediacy can be attributed to a number of factors, including the recent developments in Iraq's financial policies, the ongoing efforts to stabilize the dinar, and the steps being taken to enhance the value of the currency. These developments have created an atmosphere where the term "in the coming days" is interpreted not as a vague promise but rather as a declaration that change is about to happen very quickly. When Iraqi citizens hear "in the coming days" in the context of monetary reform, they may immediately associate it with the hope of a stronger and more stable currency. Similar phrases were often used without much follow-up, leaving the public to wonder whether any meaningful changes would ever come to fruition. However, the current situation is distinct because the government has been providing more detailed information to the citizens about the monetary reform on a regular basis. This steady flow of information has helped to build anticipation and reinforce the notion that significant changes are indeed on the horizon. When officials speak of the coming days in this instance, they are not just offering vague promises or ambiguous timeframes. Instead, they are building on a foundation of information that has already been laid out, with concrete steps being discussed and implemented in preparation for the monetary reform. This approach helps to foster a sense of immediacy and urgency among the people, as they are now aware of the ongoing efforts and understand that the changes are not just theoretical or speculative. There is a tangible sense of progress that accompanies these announcements, which further contributes to the perception that "in the coming days" effectively means now in terms of the anticipated developments. The build-up to monetary reform in Iraq has been characterized by a series of incremental steps aimed at creating a stable economic environment that can support the strengthening of the dinar. These steps include efforts to curb inflation, stabilize the financial sector, and implement policies that can encourage foreign investment and economic growth. By taking these steps, the government has laid the groundwork for a currency revaluation, which is an essential component of the broader monetary reform. One important aspect of the monetary reform is the government's commitment to providing transparency and timely updates to the citizens. This communication strategy is a departure from previous practices, where changes in financial policy were often implemented without adequate public information. The current approach seeks to engage the public and keep them informed about the developments as they happen, which in turn helps to build trust and confidence in the process. For many Iraqi citizens, the information being shared about the monetary reform is crucial because it directly affects their daily lives. The value of the dinar impacts purchasing power, the cost of living, and the ability to save for the future. any adjustments in the currency's value will have a ripple effect throughout the economy, influencing everything from prices at the market to the cost of imported goods. As a result, the anticipation surrounding the monetary reform is not just about financial policy, it is about the potential for real, tangible changes in the lives of ordinary Iraqis. The use of the term "in the coming days" is particularly significant in this context because it signals to the people that the anticipated changes are not just a distant possibility but rather an impending reality. The government's communication about the monetary reform has been increasingly specific, discussing measures such as reducing the money supply, enhancing the role of the central bank, and introducing new banking regulations to strengthen the currency. These discussions have provided a framework within which the phrase "in the coming days" can be understood as a realistic and credible timeline. When considering why the term "in the coming days" might now be interpreted as now or very quickly, it is important to look at the context of Iraq's economic history. The country has faced prolonged periods of instability, both politically and economically. The value of the dinar has fluctuated significantly, especially in the aftermath of wars, sanctions, and internal conflicts. For many years, the promise of a strong currency has been a topic of discussion, but tangible progress has been elusive. Now, however, there appears to be a convergence of factors that make this moment different from previous instances when similar phrases were used. One of the key differences lies in the external conditions that have shaped the current situation. Iraq's economy has seen improvements in several areas, including oil production, foreign reserves, and trade relations. These factors provide a stronger economic foundation that can support a more meaningful and sustained monetary reform. Additionally, there is a growing recognition of the need for Iraq to assert its financial independence and stabilize its currency in order to achieve broader economic development goals. This recognition has led to more concerted efforts to implement policies that can create the conditions necessary for a currency revaluation. The phrase "in the coming days" serves as a signal to the public that the government is not merely making empty promises but is actively working towards implementing the monetary reform. The communication from officials often emphasizes the steps being taken to ensure that the currency adjustment is successful and sustainable. This includes addressing issues such as currency reserves, exchange rate stability, and anti-inflation measures. By highlighting these efforts, the government aims to reassure citizens that the reform process is well underway and that tangible results will soon be evident. It is also worth considering the psychological impact of the phrase "in the coming days" on the Iraqi public. Given the history of economic challenges, there is a natural inclination for people to be skeptical about announcements from the government regarding financial matters. However, the consistency in messaging and the increased level of detail in recent communications have helped to alleviate some of these concerns. The repeated use of the phrase "in the coming days," coupled with specific information about the reform process, has contributed to a growing sense of optimism and anticipation. For the Iraqi citizens, the concept of "in the coming days" has evolved from being an abstract notion to representing a concrete and imminent reality. The daily updates about the monetary reform have created an expectation that changes are not just planned but are actively being implemented. This shift in perception is significant because it reflects a change in the way people view the government's ability to deliver on its promises. There is now a greater sense of urgency and belief that the monetary reform will indeed happen soon, as opposed to being just another in a series of unfulfilled promises. The transformation of the phrase "in the coming days" into a representation of now or very quickly can also be attributed to the broader social and economic context in Iraq. The people are eager for change, especially in areas that affect their financial well-being. The current situation presents an opportunity for the government to capitalize on this momentum and deliver meaningful reforms that can have a positive impact on the economy. The ongoing communication efforts are aimed at managing expectations while also reinforcing the message that the monetary reform is a top priority. Ultimately, the repeated use of the phrase "in the coming days" in the context of Iraq's monetary reform is not just a matter of semantics. It is a reflection of the government's efforts to convey a sense of urgency and progress to the public. By framing the anticipated changes in this way, officials are attempting to foster a sense of immediacy and engagement among the citizens. The phrase serves as a reminder that the process is active and that the time for change is at hand. In conclusion, while the term "in the coming days" has been used before in Iraq, the difference this time lies in the level of information and the context surrounding the announcements. There is a tangible sense of progress, with regular updates being provided to the public about the monetary reform process. This has created an environment where the phrase is interpreted not as a vague or indefinite promise, but as an indication that the changes are imminent and will occur very quickly. The combination of anticipation. Thanks for tuning in to IQD Dinar News. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For more updates on the Iraqi dinar and global currency trends, hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.